In this video, I'll be talking with my friend Omid, who has built and sold a successful Amazon KDP business for over $100,000. Since then, he left the business for a couple years, but now he's coming back and building his KDP business again. So we will be discussing what other business models that he's tried and why Amazon KDP is one of the best business to start, along with some of the mistakes that he's made when he was building his first KDP account. So if you guys like these videos, then this is actually a bonus for my publishing program. And we have well over 20 of these interviews. So if you want to learn more about my publishing program, then you can check out the first link in the description below. With that being said, enjoy the video. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another publishing success case study interview. Today, we are talking with Omid. Omid is actually my friend. He's been publishing for a while now, and he sold his first KDP account for over $100,000. And since then, he left the business for a while, tried out different things. Now he's coming back and kind of building his KDP account again. So today I kind of wanted to bring him on and talk about his experience building his first KDP account, as well as trying out different businesses and kind of see what the differences are mainly. So Omid, welcome. How are you doing, man?
What's going on, Sean? Thank you so much for having me. It is an absolute honor to be with the man, the myth, the legend. Excited to chat on the journey because it has been quite a journey from selling KDP to getting back in it.
Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate you being on here, and let's get right into it. So like tell us a little bit about that journey. How did you start with KDP? Like how did you discover it? And then how did it go, like maybe the first couple months or so?
So, little backstory. One of my dream jobs was to work for Tony Robbins. In order for me to work for Tony Robbins, I had to do a lot of really cool shit. And one of those was exceeding in sales and speaking. And after I went ahead and did that, I realized I needed an edge. So I actually wrote a book myself called Always Be Closing. And I wrote this book. It was great. Was selling copies. And one of my best friends reached out to me and said, "Yo, there's actually an entire world around this where you could hire ghostwriters and build a business around books on Amazon." I said, "No way." So I went on YouTube. He sent me a guy. I bought this guy's course, published a book, and it flopped. It was really bad. And then I kept publishing. Nothing happened. And then I ended up finding another Facebook group, and I was asking people like, "How are you doing this?" And somebody recommended another course, very old. It's not even out anymore. And I did that. And it was from there where I started to meet, all my friends, you included. And it was from there that I just started to publish for years. And at the time when I sold the business, I had 420 books published, like 417, something around there. Um, and yeah, so I was publishing for I think 4 or 5 years before I sold it, but that's how I got in.
Cool. Yeah. So I think you started with Project Life Mastery, right? That
Yeah.
course over there.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Same with me, man. I think in our era, like 90% of people start off with that course. Like they watch a video from Stephen James, buy the course, doesn't really work. Nothing bad
Outdated.
about Stephen James, right? Like, the guy's cool, I think, never met him in anything, but the course just wasn't updated. So we switched to another course and then we all kind of met there, worked, but that course is also outdated. It's not selling. And now I'm the one like selling a course. It's funny like how that cycle is. But so you started publishing. Did you have success early on besides the first book, after you joined the second course following that, or how did that go?
Um, I published my first book, which was my own book. I had success just because of it being myself. And then I published two books with Project Life Mastery's method, did not work at all. And I was kind of getting discouraged. And then that's when I found another community. And I published my first book there and it started to do well. And a really big thing for me was community because the Project Life Mastery, nobody was really as active in the Facebook group
Yeah.
until I joined the other one. And then it was like people were commenting and they were sharing insights and messages. And it was from that community that I started to apply what, other people in the community started to have success with to my business, and it started to work. So I think it took me 3 books to get successful, not including my own.
Nice. Awesome. And Project Life Mastery, I believe he was charging like a separate fee for his Facebook group access. And that's why like most people didn't join, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
this it's like the school group that's happening nowadays where everybody's charging for community, which makes sense. But um I feel like all in one is better. But either way, so you started publishing, third book did well. Was it smooth sailing after that, or like, did your income drop? Like how was it?
Uh, it was smooth sailing to like 1,000. I would say, no, like yeah, 1,500-ish, and then it kind of got stagnant at that point, just because I didn't really know how to launch my book properly, and it took a while, but it was really the community that helped me grow. So I hit a plateau at like 1,000, 1,500, or in that range, and then I was able to get up to uh 3,000, 4,000, and then eventually over the years I was able to get to 7,000 was the most that I was able to sustain monthly.
Mm. Nice, man. 7,000 is pretty solid. And so obviously like you had like 400 books, you said, right?
Mhm.
So, you kind of took the volume approach. And was it low, medium content, high content? Like what kind of books were you publishing?
I was publishing high content nonfiction books.
Yeah. But the word count must be shorter than like what we teach nowadays. Because nowadays, we're teaching 30K words, like a solid 150 pages, right? But back in the days, people used to teach 10K words and it was like 50
Yep.
pages. So it wasn't the best customer experience. But were you publishing those kind of books, or were you doing something different?
I was publishing those kind of books. Eventually, when ACX started to really boom, then I started to publish 30K word books. But I took a lot of corners and I cut costs and I hired directly on Upwork and I wasn't really vetting the writers as much. I just wanted to get the books out there because I was taking that volume approach. In hindsight, this is why I could never get past a certain amount of income because it would just get absolutely hammered by readers over time because the book just sucked. And yeah, towards the end of the time period, really my best book was the one I wrote myself because of the quality. And it just goes to show how quality is so important over quantity. Well, quality and quantity, of course, is important, but
Yeah.
even now, my old book is still selling even after I sold the business. It's so good. And I don't even think I'm that good of a writer. I mean, when I wrote the book and I met with an editor, they were like, I'm not going to edit this book. It sucks. Because I had a bunch of like typos and stuff in there.
Yeah, that's funny, man. I completely agree, though. I think because for me too, when I was stuck around 10K, so I literally got to 10K a month just by taking massive action. I was also in the same boat, publishing not so great books. I would admit that it wasn't that great, although in my mind, back in the days, I thought it was pretty good, right?
Mhm.
But now looking back at it, the things that we do now is just way more detailed, and the books are absolutely so much better than what we used to publish before. But I was publishing those books. I would publish it. I would make a little more money from those books, but the old books would die off because of bad reviews, and I was kind of like spinning my
Yep.
wheels. And
Yeah.
you were stuck around 7K doing that, right? And things changed when I focused on really high quality books that didn't die off. And then every time I publish a new book, it just kept stacking and stacking all the way up to like 40K a month, right? So it definitely is like the biggest change that happened over the years in terms of like the publishing landscape. I think is focusing on quality, or at least everybody understands that you have to focus on quality, or hopefully, because that's what I've been preaching all my videos and courses and stuff. But what do you think are the other mistakes that you've made besides that kind of prevented you from growing your business, if there are any?
Shotgun approach for sure. Not not really learning how to do ads. I think shot me in the foot a little bit and being lazy and not like checking my ad report because I would just check my ads and I'd be like, oh my God, I spent $1,000 by accident. And it didn't really turn into anything. So not being on top of it with my ads. And then, you know, I guess I'm happy I sold my business, but now that I'm getting back, I guess it's like starting from ground zero. So just staying in it because there's ups and downs, and I think there was a lot of moments when I was getting really defeated, and I would stop publishing and I would stop investing back into the business because I was like, oh, my books are dying. So I think a big thing for me was not trying to solve my problem sooner. I think that was big
Yeah, for
as
sure.
well.
I think a lot of people are in the same situation. Like, people who are watching this or listening to this, they're probably in the same boat of just they're focusing so much on publishing and pumping out new books without really focusing on the other side, which is like quality, producing high quality books, learning the marketing. Because essentially, publishing, there are three parts, right? You have to do the research, making sure that it's a profitable topic. You got to produce the book, make sure it's profit, make sure it's high quality, and then you got to market it. So it's research, production, marketing. A lot of people completely skip the research. A lot of people just like pump out, the production side, but it's not focusing on quality, and they don't do any marketing. They just upload it and forget about it, and they're just spinning the wheels there. So I think like listening to other people's experience like yours would help for sure. But when you ended up selling the business, right? So how much did you sell it for?
So initially I had it listed for 150,000 and it took 7, 8 months to find a buyer and got into contract with the buyer. And keep in mind, at the time when I listed the business, I haven't touched the business in 2 years and it was still consistently making money. So that just goes to show how awesome the business model is. And uh, something happened with him and his finances and all that, but he found a clause he was able to get out. And then over time, the revenue kept going down because I haven't touched it. And now at that moment was 3 years or 2.5 years. And I was like, I need to sell it because I don't want to touch it. I want to go do something else. I was bored of the business model, which in hindsight, I feel like whenever you're killing in a business, you will get bored in it. So I lowered the price, got an offer, and um, yeah, sold the business for 100,000 at that point. So initially we went 150, but exited with 100, which is still great because it gave me like relief and it allowed me to pursue my curiosities. And I was really starting to hate the business model. And now that I'm getting back in it, it's just so funny because I've tried so many different businesses and none of them fit the mold, kind of like KDP did for me in the past. So yeah.
Yeah, man, that's very interesting that you say that. What do you think are the biggest difference, that you see from other businesses? What's so attractive about KDP now that you're coming back to it? Um, yeah, can you tell us a little
Mhm.
bit more about that?
I had KDP when I had a full-time job working for Tony Robbins, and I was able to build that and have my job, and it did not impact the quality of my life. KDP is very operation heavy, so you can really outsource and delegate a lot of tasks and just keep a lot of the key things that you need to do as a publisher in order to make the business successful. So it's not very time intensive, especially if you have the money. I mean, up until you don't have the money, you're going to have to use your time. But I mean, you can easily publish a few great quality books and then have money and reinvest it back into a team. So there's that aspect of it. Um, I don't have to manage a bunch of people. So one of the businesses I started lost $30,000 in this business. Well, I invested $30,000 in the business, and I realized at 6 months in, there's no way for me to be able to, or I don't want to spend the time to make this work because it would cost me another 30, 40 grand. And then I realized if I was to grow the business, it was a virtual receptionist business, I would have 30, 40, 50 in that range amount employees under me. And I'd have to have managers managing them and all that. And I was like, that's too many people that I don't care to manage. Um, and then I was looking at other products, and they were just when it came to having a job, which I still have, and also a business, they would take time away from the job because I would have to do sales calls. So then I'm like, okay, if I'm going to sell a service, I need to sell the service. And then I'm like, okay, I'm in sales right now. How am I going to manage my schedule with a full-time job? And all roads, as our dear friend Jacob always says, all roads lead back to KDP.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of my mentors. He's watched me just try all these different businesses, and he was like, "Bro, why don't you just do the thing you were successful in?" And I kind of like, I thought he meant e-commerce, so I started looking at e-commerce businesses, and then I was telling another one of my friends, I was like, "Dude, I'm looking at buying a business, or maybe I do real estate. Like, how do I like? What should I do?" And he was like, asked me around my KDP business. He had no idea I sold it. So I started telling him about it. And he's like, wait a minute. You're telling me you sold the business. It was easy for you. All your friends are still doing it. They're all successful and you know how to run the business. He's like, why don't you just do it again, bro? I was like, wow, light bulb. I didn't think about that. So here we are starting all roads lead back to KDP.
Here we are, man. Yeah, I had a similar experience too. Back in the days, like people used to say 10K is the limit for KDP. So once they hit 10K, I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I got to start something else, right? The gurus in the KDP space would say that 10K is a limit. Once you hit 10K, you reinvest the money that you're making from KDP into a new business. So I'm like, all right, cool. I started a affiliate marketing business, but it was one of those like high ticket affiliate marketing, kind of like an MLM structure. Once again, the guru recommended it, right? So I joined blindly following him, and I had to get all the products that I can resell for a commission. It was like 60K, and then I bought coaching for $25,000, and then I bought another package for
Ooh.
10K. Like overall, and then I spent 20K on Facebook ads. So overall, in 1 year, I spent a solid $110,000 for this because whenever I start anything, I go all in, and I'm like 23 years old at this point, right? And that was pretty much like everything I had, all the money that I had saved up at that point. And first off, it was super, super hard. I was kind of cocky because I had success with KDP. I thought I knew about entrepreneurship or business in general, because of the KDP success. Little did I know that KDP is so much easier than other businesses. Um, and I didn't know shit, right? So um, I started that business, started running Facebook ads, kept failing, burning money like thousands of dollars a day. And I really like even following the coaching program, nothing worked. And then in the end, the company got shut down by the FTC. I lost all my ways of recouping my money. I basically just lost 100K, right? And meanwhile, while I'm failing at this business, for months and months and months, my KDP business kept paying me $10,000 every single month, like clockwork. And like
Yeah.
at one point, I got into $40,000 in debt just to build this new business, which I paid off in 4 months because my KDP business paid me 10K a month, right? So I came back, focused back on KDP, and then I just like built it up to, the point, sold it, and things were good. But so when I say like, this is how it is, like everybody gets this shiny object syndrome, tries out different businesses, and then they eventually come back to KDP. Well, I experienced it myself as well, right? So it's funny how that works. But for you, what other businesses have you tried since then? Or, was it mainly this uh virtual, what was it called again?
So virtual receptionist. Let's see. So I sold my business. Um, but before I dive into this, I also looked at a lot of different businesses and I tried to do the math. I mean, I didn't try. I did the math on a lot of different business ideas. And for example, what other business? Like I looked at real estate. If you can go buy a home, yeah, you're getting equity, right? But with the interest rates, with the way everything is right now, let's say after I have an asset and I have to deal with the shit of the house, the tenants, all that crap, I'm probably going to net $400 after all fees, maybe 300, depending on the type of home that you're able to buy. And then in KDP, rather than putting 20% down on a home, I could just put $1,500 on a high quality book and make 300, $400 from that one book, as long as I make sure it's quality. I did the right research. Like, what other business will you get a cash on cash return within a couple of months if you do the right work? That's insane. Um, I looked at starting a experiential Airbnb business where we go and we put campers and tents and these really cool things, and you find land and you put this glamping. So I looked at that. I looked at purchasing different types of businesses. And keep in mind, I'm looking at businesses that I can do in tandem with my own business. I mean, with my own job. Um, I started the virtual receptionist one. Like that's one I actually executed on, hired a team, did my absolute best to make that work. 30K later, could not take it off the ground. Um, and then
What
content.
was what was the biggest issue with the virtual? I'm
It's a
sorry.
very no,
I
no, no,
forgot the
you're
name
fine,
of
bro.
the business.
Virtual
Like
receptionist.
virtual receptionist. Why didn't it like why couldn't you get it off the ground?
In order to provide the service, you need to pay the salaries of the employees. And at the time, that was like 3,000, 3,500 ish. Um, and you want to be able to provide a service for small businesses so that essentially whenever someone calls them, if they're not available, you can answer it. So ideally, in order to compete with the older players in the game, you need to have 24/7. So I need to have enough VAs to cover 24/7 per client. So I spent a lot of time trying to run ads. I spent so much money on Facebook ads trying to figure it out. Google ads. I literally tried every single ad platform. And the problem was, just like all business, it takes time to take off, like get it off the ground. I didn't have the runway to keep messing around with it. So at the point, it was just kind of runway at when I decided to cut it. I'm sure
Yeah.
I could have made it work if I gave it another 6 months to a year, but that would have cost me so much money to recoup. And what I was doing is I was like, okay, let me go and get passive income. Like, let me get recurring revenue so that I can make content and chase that passion and dream of mine, similar to you. And I realized I was like, man, why am I going through so much work when I can create recurring revenue doing something a lot easier? And that's proven as well. So that's kind of it. Just the business model wasn't working for me at that point.
Yeah. Even if it does work, right? Because I do agree that, you could make it happen if you stick to it. You can make it happen in any business if you stick to it for long enough. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be fulfilling, or, if you enjoy your life with that business. Like, I feel like service-based business is the worst thing to scale. It's just like
Yeah.
you're just so miserable all the time, servicing clients. Because even if you scale this business, now you're managing a bunch of people, working with clients that's complaining. That's why people who build an agency business, they pretty much always hate their life, right? I met so many, I got a lot of friends doing some sort of service-based agency business, and literally 100% of them hates their life and they hate their clients. So yeah, I feel like KDP is just so much easier in that sense. And then there's also the product-based business. I'm sorry, the physical product-based business, like real estate is a physical product, which you don't have the location freedom. Like, you like traveling, I like traveling. But if you got a physical product, you have to ship the product over to you, or you got to go check out the property and stuff. It's hard if you're traveling. So I truly believe like a digital product based business, like KDP is the best thing out there, especially for beginners, right? Because it's very, very low cost to start too. But you're doing a little bit of YouTube as well, right? Or was it more so like short form content?
So I am in the process of making content. I've been making it on short form. I'm deciding if I do want to go get down the YouTube route. Just seeing you is kind of inspiring me. And by the way, for those of you that are listening, um, the cool thing about KDP, and I don't think it gets talked enough, is the people that do KDP are going to be very similar to you. So my closest friends all come from the KDP world, like Sean, a few others, and it's just being able to grow with your friends is awesome. So I'm seeing Sean kill it, and now I'm like, I want to elevate myself. So yeah, YouTube is definitely something I'm like, do I want to go down that route? Because I know it's a commitment and I know it takes time, but at the same time, I know it can also be very rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah. YouTube is like, for me, I got lucky because YouTube, like took off for me. And yes, it's definitely rewarding at this point. I will say it's like way harder than KDP. It's one of those things where people who have success with KDP, or at least for me, and I can't speak for other people, but I was a little cocky thinking I know what I'm doing because of the KDP success. Failed in other businesses, pretty much everything I tried. YouTube did work eventually, but it was like so much slower in the beginning. Not saying this to like, discourage people from wanting to do YouTube. If they want to do it, I think they should try it. But I do think it's a lot harder than KDP. I think KDP is
How many
really
years did it
nice.
take you?
It took me, well, the first 3 years of doing YouTube, I was only making like $1,000 a month for 3 years straight, you know? So uh yeah, YouTube takes a lot of time. Like, the only time YouTube became worth it was when I started selling a course, because now I have a way to monetize the YouTube audience. So a lot of people hate on you for selling a course, but unfortunately, that is literally the only way to make YouTube worth it. People always start YouTube thinking, "Oh, I'm going to provide free value, forever." And yes, you get comments of people thanking you, for free value. And it's funny because even if you provide all the free value, like even a free full course, like people are still going to hate on you. They're going to find ways to hate on you. So like the
Oh
hate is
yeah.
always be there. And that's another big reason why people quit YouTube, is because they can't handle the hate. Because no matter what you do, even if you listen to all the comments, the hate is still going to come, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, but that's another thing, is you eventually have to sell a course. I see every YouTube channel, they always start off saying, I'm not going to be like all these gurus. Um, I, I'm going to give you all the secrets for free. And I'm like, that's great. I share a lot of stuff for free too, but it's, you got to monetize it somehow. It's going to be really, really hard, for you to make money. And those guys
Yeah.
who started off saying that eventually come up with a course, because it's just how it is. You just can't keep going unless you sell something, right? So obviously, you got to sell something in a business, same as YouTube, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you always need something to sell because you're not running a nonprofit. Like you have to make money, you have to monetize it. It allows you to sustain and continue to create. And I mean, it's like you're giving really great advice anyway, and then you're just selling the implementation because your content is fire. And I mean, people that don't pay attention. And you have to go on the journey of self-education and learning those skills. And it's an investment. Like think of all the people that have paid for university and college. That wasn't free. And most of you are probably not even using your degree. So keep educating, keep investing in yourself. Go, hang around people that have the success that you want in the same community and grow that.
Yeah,
Yeah, big
absolutely.
believer of that.
Yeah, 100%. So now that you are coming back to KDP, what's your plan? Like, what is your goal with KDP? Where do you want to build this up to? And are you planning to
Mhm.
sell it again with a bigger exit, or are you just trying to build up a cash flow?
I really want to build up the cash flow because at the end of the day, I love my job. It's great. Um, but it doesn't offer any security. And I know KDP doesn't offer the security, but at least I own equity in something. And the only way to get rich is by owning something, not by earning. So I want to build it. I just hired a team to help me build it because I have outsourced a lot of my business prior. So I understand the processes that go into it. I just have to re-up my knowledge on the lay of the land with KDP now, of course, focusing on quality, learning from my previous mistakes. Um, but yeah, I'm like the boys are getting back together, starting a mastermind, and just sharing what's working and what we're going to do to grow. And I really feel within the next year, and also I have an unfair advantage. I have money to actually put into the business now. So I'm not like, making $1,000 a month and saying like, oh shit, what do I do with my thousand? I actually have expendable income to put. So knock on wood on that. But my goal is to at least in the next year get to 10K a month.
Nice. Oh yeah. I
At
think
least
by next year, or by the end of next year.
by September of next year, so in 12
I
months.
said, gotcha.
Minimum,
Yeah,
minimum. And I might have a home run. I mean, who knows?
yeah, it's definitely possible there, especially if you do this like close to full time, or going all in from the beginning, right? I just did another interview with a student, Dave, and he was doing like 2K a month before joining the program, and he's up to 16K profit in about 8 months, and he's adding like 3,000 net profit every single month. So I think this month, end of this month, he's gonna do like 20K. By December, he's trying to hit 100K, so he's like really trying to scale it fast. But
Wow.
yeah, dude. I mean, that's just one example of many, many students doing it. So, KDP still works in 2024. A lot of parts are actually easier than before, right? Because AI is handling a lot of things. Believe it or not, the production cost is significantly cheaper because AI is replacing a lot of things, while the quality is higher. And people complain about competition, because they think AI is going to bring a lot of people. And yes, it is bringing in a lot of publishers, but they're all doing like the, super crap quality AI books, and they're just spamming that, just like when, we had like the flood of low content books a couple of years ago. So it's kind of like what we did, right? Like the mistakes that we made, and they're just in like the bottom of the barrel, spinning their wheels themselves. And if you do the same thing, obviously you're competing with them, right? But if you not do that, and if you just make sure you're doing something that's a level above, producing high quality book, then you're competing in a completely different category. You don't even care about what they're doing, right?
Yeah, you just gotta do more.
Yeah,
Just
just
do more.
be
Every
better.
every year that I've been publishing, like when I was 21, every year people were like, "Oh, is this a good year? Is this the end of publishing?" Every single year, is this the end of publishing? Is this the end of publishing? I'm 29 now, so for the last 8 years, even the 2 year break I took from KDP, people were like, "Oh, it's the end of fucking KDP AI." So it's just like, just put your head down, do more than the other person, take Sean's course, and you'll be good.
Yeah, I completely agree. When did you start again? 2020?
20, no, bro. Oh, I started in 7 years ago. I started when I was 21, 20, 8 or 9 years. Damn, that's all blending together, bro. 8 or 9 years ago, I started.
We started around the same time thing because for me it was 8, 9 years ago. I was like 21 and
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
almost 30. Crazy, huh? Yeah,
Man, we're getting old, bro.
yeah. But yeah, every year since we started, like literally 2016 when I started, people were complaining that it's too saturated and
Yeah.
the money was made in 2013 and it's too late now.
Yeah.
Every
Every
single
year it's
year.
the same shit.
Yeah. Crazy. Crazy, man. Um, but yeah, dude, I'm
So
excited to see how you build this up.
I'm
Uh,
I want to ask you a quick question. Based on what you've seen from your students, roughly how much money do you think, and this is like, let's use fair, you're not getting a home run. So let's talk cash on cash return. If you were to put like $10,000 into the business and everything was to be like average, and but average in terms of returns, what do you think that money could turn into passive income? Because I know the other guy that you were talking about, that you interviewed, he's adding $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Like, how much is he investing monthly on new books to keep adding to the residual?
Yeah, for sure. He's investing a lot just because he got cash flow, right? And this is like the toughest question to answer just because it really depends. Like for those who don't have a ton of budget, you just produce the book yourself, provided it's good quality, which you can really work on learning AI and reduce the production cost. And so now it's like you can produce a lot more books, right? In terms of how much a book can make, once again, really depends. But conservatively, like we say on average, like if you can get 300 to 500 bucks a month profit per book, if you're doing high content, that is pretty solid because the production cost, if you outsource most things, it's $1,000 to $2,000, right? So
Yeah.
if you're doing 300 on a conservative side, then that is 3 to 7 months ROI, to break even. And obviously you can do a lot faster, like 3 to 5 months, I would say is the average. But
And are
see,
you
the thing
factoring in
is,
ACX?
I'm not, well, yeah, you can factor in ACX, but a lot of the students are outside of those countries. So typically not.
Oh, I
But
see.
the thing is, on video, I really don't want to put out numbers or guarantees because people are going to watch this and they're going to be like, I'm not making that. So
Yeah.
they're lying. But it really seriously depends on the keyword they choose, the execution of each step. But yeah, I mean, Dave, once again, that guy that I just mentioned, he's doing a lot better than 3 to 500 bucks per month per book, right? He's doing, 1,000, couple thousand per book, I think, last time he told me. So uh,
Woo, that's
if you
fire.
do things, yeah, if you do things right, it's possible. But even if a book flops, typically, as it sells something, right? And over time, you most likely will make ROI, even if it takes a little longer. And even if it takes a little longer, it's still maybe a year, 2 years. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I mean, if you're doing real estate, yeah, it's a lot longer than that, right? And people think real estate is a good investment. So, um, yeah, personally, I feel like if you just take massive action, you're not going to fail in the business. But numbers wise, yeah, kind of tricky to answer, but that's my best answer
Yeah.
there.
No, that's fire. I mean, it is hard to guesstimate, because every single person is different. Their workflow is different. It's not like you do X and then you will always get Y. So there's so much discrepancy that goes into that. I do have a sizable amount that I want to start and invest in the business.
Mm.
Because I mean, I bootstrapped it prior, but I did it really slow. And now that I know it works and I understand the process, I have money that I've been saving that I'm just like, okay, this is gonna be for my next business. And going back into this, I just know, just the production itself. Like I used to spend $5 for my cover. My covers suck, dude. Like they were so, and I thought they were like with the greatest covers since sliced bread. But then I saw um Gerald was showing me some of his books, like his covers. I was like, wow, the game has changed. It's just constantly quality, and this is across content, across anything you're doing. It's as more people do it, there's quality matters so much more because it helps you stand out from the rest. So it's like whoever can keep putting out quality and keep committing to quality, it seems like that is the play. And I mean, you've cracked that code yourself years ago, and now it's like it's the move. And you're doing a service because these are really good books that will change people's lives, that people will be able to learn the things that they want to do. And nobody wants to sit there and read a shitty book. So when you have
Yeah.
something that's like really great and it impacts their life and you're making money, bro, that's a trifecta.
Yeah, you brought up a really good point, right? Like every single business is becoming more competitive because more people are doing it. Because like literally, if you got an internet, you can build a business now. So all the
Yep.
internet-based business is getting this flood of people coming in and from all over the world. Now you're competing with, people from India or China or wherever, literally all over the world. And also like building an online business is pretty normalized now, compared to like when I started. I remember when I started KDP, so like 8 years ago, people would say like, "Oh, you're starting a business, like, you're an entrepreneur. Like, what does that mean? What do you just get a real job?" But now it's like a normal thing to have some kind of side hustle. And so, yeah, more people are doing it, but it kind of goes back to what I said about like people just pumping out, low quality AI crap, right? If you go a little bit above that and focus on quality, focus on being better than others. Most people aren't willing to do that. So you definitely can stand out. But yeah, every single business, there are more people doing it. But if you can focus on quality, there's always a way to stand out, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And uh, um, but I mentioned this a few times, but really getting around people that are killing it will make a big difference. I mean, I think I was making like $3,000 a month, and I saw Sean posting in the group, and I saw a bunch of our other friends posting in the group, and I was like, man, I want to be like them. And then I reached out to all of them. I was like, hey, if I was to put us all in a chat together, would you be down? And I connected all of us. And then and I was making the least amount of money, but I was still able to be in the room having these conversations. And that really made a big impact. So if you're in the Facebook group or the community, reach out, make friends because these people are awesome. Actually, funny story, dude. I was in Germany with my wife and we were in Berlin and we were trying to get into like one of those techno clubs, the famous ones, and they don't let you in if you're not German, right? Bunch of bullshit. So someone from an old KDP group DM'd me on Instagram and was like, "Yo, we've never met, but I'm in this Facebook group with you. One of my friends is German and he can get you in." And I was like, "Oh shit." So then this from a KDP friend I've never met got me into these clubs. Like,
Right.
yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's I think the Facebook chat that you made has been like super, super valuable for me too. Like I literally met every single member except Gerald and Gary. I think I met everybody else.
You haven't met
Um,
Gerald in person?
I never met Gerald in person. No,
Bro,
I got to go to Peru.
let's
I'm
go.
planning to though. I'm planning to go to Peru, and I reached out to him, and I will reach out when I go. But besides that, yeah, and Gary's chilling in Australia, so
Gary's
um,
always killing it, dude. This guy,
yeah,
sold two KDP businesses. He just has like he's a master marketer. It's insane. He like starts a business, gets to like 30K in a year.
yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, but it's cool though, like meeting everyone else. So yeah, definitely got to start a Facebook, or it doesn't have to be Facebook, but you definitely want to reach out to like people around your level and start a mastermind. That's like the biggest thing that you can do to probably accelerate your business and your growth. So I agree there. But yeah, man. This chat I think was insightful in different ways, kind of talking about different businesses, why I truly believe KDP is one of the best business out there, comparing to other businesses, and some of the mistakes that we've made that hopefully the viewers can avoid. But Are there anything else that you wanna touch on before we end this conversation?
Just don't quit. Just keep going. Eventually, keep going and keep learning from your previous books as to why it didn't work. And eventually it will grow. You just have to stay in it long enough. You will plateau and it's going to be okay. And if you plateau, reach out and get help, make friends. Like, this, I think the thing about KDP is out of all the other businesses, it's not like a very solo business. Everyone is in it. Everyone is trying to figure it out. Everyone is trying to like help each other grow, sharing their success and be like, I can do it as well. It's a bunch of people that just want to be free. So, lean heavy on that.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for all the tips. Thanks for the conversation. It was fun. And for those who are watching, thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next one.